David, tell us about breath and breath support and what you think of for your breathing when you sing.
I remember Pavarotti saying in an interview one time that breath is the thing that he will always work on until he stops singing. And that has been true for me.
Yeah.
If that's not working, I mean, that's the engine to me. If that's not working, everything else tries to pick up the slack and it doesn't work. I think the first thing I do for breathing is on a given day to expand my lungs.
Okay.
Just try to take deep breaths and exhale and just try to get the feeling of this is singing breathing and not just sitting and reading breathing. And just, feeling that kind of expanse, going on. And feeling it not only in my chest, but in my diaphragm, the feeling of my diaphragm lowering. And, being able to stay there. So that's kind of one of the first things. And your body starts to fill up with oxygen and all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff. The next thing that I'll do this throughout the day. I don't ignore what needs to happen and then start an hour before I'm supposed to. In my experience, when I've had to do that, or when I've just forgotten and not done it, I pay the price for that. So throughout the day, I'll just take those deep breaths like that. And then at some point in the middle of the day, after I've just, tried to get in the right frame of mind, I will inhale and then pay attention to my exhale. Because depending, for me, and everybody's different, depending on the stress of the day, on if I've been able to get out and run or walk, or if I've been able to, really get things going or not, my breath can catch on the way out.
Oh.
If I feel it going, if I feel, that tense, that then I know I have to do some exercises to release.
So it's about a smooth flow?
That's right.
Okay.
And even right now, I feel a little bit. I feel it internally. I feel a little bit where it's just not going.
So nothing catching, nothing hesitating.
That's right.
Just right through.
And so I just have to have this circular flow that's just easy on the intake, easy on the out. That's usually the next thing I do, and that, a little aside, is usually a part of just trying to get lower the stress in my body. That's the bigger section of that. But as far as breath concerned, that's a real important thing for me, because I have to have that going on.
Does it change before a performance? Do you feel maybe more anxiety ever, and you have to really connect with that breath, or it's just the same every day for you?
Everybody's different, and every day is different. There are days that I do that, and I'm like, I'm gold. And there are days that it's like, I just had like 4 bad phone calls, or whatever it is. That it's usually life stress that makes you kind of tense up. And it also, the other thing that feeds into that is how many days on the road have I been, and is this the 3rd day in a row, and my body is just trying to go, all right, fight mode, that kind of thing. And you got to get it out of fight mode and be a little bit more relaxed. And oddly enough, what I've learned is that takes work to find that release. It's like the results of yoga. I mean, you can't just be like, I'm going to get to the end result. You have to work to tell your body to release those things.
Do you do any stretches or yoga for your breathing?
I do some light kind of things, things that I've learned over the years. A lot of it were things that I learned in speech therapy when I used to take speech therapy years ago. That's a real important thing, and I'm always open to new things. If you got kind of those release exercises, you never know what's going to work. I'm always open to that. The thing I do closer to the time when I step on stage is get my engine going. That is my trusted and tried making sure this is making sure that energy is going in there, and so that is what I have to get sometime within an hour, hour and a half before I go, just to make sure that I'm revving that up. If that's not working, I mean, that is just critical to me. my vibrato doesn't work right. I try to manufacture that in a different way. I will, just like what I said before, other mechanisms will try to take over, compensate for what that's not doing.
Sure.
So that is kind of my last.
Cool.
My last thing of breath I did.
I like that. So it's sort of a staccato H agility exercise.
Yes, it's this.
Yeah.
It's this. So when I first learned to do this, well, first of all, the breath support that I learned was I played trumpet when I was a kid, and everything in trumpet is, you know, you're tightening up, you're pulling in, singing the way that I learned, and everybody. You know, you start saying there's a certain way to do things, and people start getting mad. And people can do things so many different ways. But for me, it's a downward pressure. And it's my teacher. I remember the analogy was you have this slab of concrete around here that you are pushing down like this. So it's a down and out kind of pressure that creates this stability under everything. But to get to the staccato stuff, I had to really learn how to engage my mind to my diaphragm to go. That dog pant was how I learned to do it. And you know what? I always remember when I started learning how to do this. I was flying to audition for the Met.
Really?
When I was in college. I was singing from the Messiah, that everybody shall be, you know, all that stuff. And I, you know, was like, I've got to get my engine going, you know, and, you know, so I was on the plane kind of in my bubble trying to not be noticed, and I was, you know, and you can see it starts, when I start to do it, it starts up here, and then I have to go, oh, you got to engage this. And so I was doing that, and this guy across the aisle said, do you want a bag to throw up in? Or are you getting sick? And I was like, no, I'm doing weird stuff. Just leave me alone. And so, you know, we all have those, we have to do weird things. Hopefully we can hide somewhere when we do a lot of them. But that is, that vocal, you called it
diaphragmatic agility.
Oh, that's so scientific.
Yes.
Agility, yes. That's wonderful. But that is absolutely dead on, because it's not about powering through.
Right.
And that's what so many, at least younger students think. Okay, here I got to muscle my way through this, and that's not really what it is.
Right.
I mean, it has to be developed, but you have to be able to.
Yeah. That's a really good exercise, because when you pulse like that it frees up the diaphragm.
Right.
Just like any muscle, if you hold on to it, it gets tight. But if you move it around, it loosens right up.
Yeah. And you can see a lot of those things that I do are about freeing up, you know, that kind of thing. About, you know, really letting go and